Welcome to Neighbors panel discussion on neighborhood organizing in the days of the COVID-19 pandemic. I'm Valeri O.T. Nellis. Neighbor to Neighbor seeks to equip residents and neighborhood organizations with the tools they need to preserve and improve their neighborhoods. In these unprecedented times, our hope is to shed light on how to do the work of neighborhood organizing in this challenging era. This is now the fourth segment in a 6-part series. We have invited 8 wonderful neighborhood leaders and community organizers and community partners to help us explore this topic. Our guests today will introduce themselves as they answer the following question. How might a neighborhood organization respond to the current COVID-19 public health crisis? This is an excellent opportunity for you all to share what your neighborhood organization is currently doing or planning to do. And I believe we've hit on some of this, but please do tell us what's going on in your neighborhoods.
This is Spencer Edelstein with Rosebank Neighbors. Particularly in reference to the COVID-19, we've been planning on having some Zoom calls, keeping the information flowing. We're still trying to deal with the tornado, and so it's vital that we stay in contact, that we keep this information flowing, and that we let our residents know that we're a resource for them.
Very good.
Okay, this is Brenda Morrow with the Edge Hill Resident Association and Organized Neighbors of Edge Hill. How we're responding is through partnerships. And pretty much, as I said, adapting to what's going on and the changes that we have to make. You usually have a food truck. Pastor Bart brings a food truck every Wednesday to the community. So we've had to stop that simply because MDHA says that we cannot use the community room. Community rooms all over at every site have been shut down. And then they said we couldn't do the food outside in the courtyard because that meant that we were bringing people together and they were standing too close. So what we did was, since I had been partners with the store on 12th Avenue that thing with Belmont University and Brad Paisley, I asked them if they would partner with Pastor Bart and start receiving the food up there. And what we've done was everybody that used to stand in that line when we delivered it on the site, they now are referred to the store. They're able to go up there and pick up groceries every week. So, and also the seniors that can't make it up there, we started what we call a delivery process. And pretty much what that is that if you're 65 and older or with a disability, I refer you up there and register you up there. They make a phone call to you, or either they just come by. One of my seniors, he's 90 plus, and he's hard of hearing. I said, so it won't do to call. So what I'll do is I'll go with you the first time so I can introduce you, and he will know that you will be coming every week to bring him enough food to last for a week. I'm just like, we're responding as everybody is, doing what we can with what we have, sending resources to, partnering with resources so that residents can get what they need. That's partnering, that's it.
Excellent. Anybody else?
Hey, Valerie, this is Jordan Huffman with Donaldson Hermitage Neighborhood Association. One thing that we've really tried to emphasize is that we're here for the community no matter what the request is. So whether it is in tornado relief or it is due to something with COVID-19, maybe you can't go get your groceries, maybe you need medicine picked up. We put a request page on our website. So you can request anything that you need. If you need your lawn cut, if you need your trash can dragged to the top of your street, we do that stuff. We also are doing, or actually in the process right now, of what we call a Better Together survey. This goes out to all of our members, and it's basically a questionnaire of, how can we do better to serve you as a neighborhood organization? And the feedback so far has been really good. It's engaged our community a lot. And we're really looking forward to using the results of that going forward.
Very good.
That's cool.
Mm-hmm.
Jordan made a good point on engaging community. This is J.S. Bolton. I'm president of the nation's neighborhood association. And we've been looking at this crisis as a way for the neighborhood association to really engage with neighbors wherever they would like to be engaged with. So if that's scheduling Zoom meetings, if that's working with business owners to bring awareness to how neighbors can support their business, if it's doing neighborhood activities for children. In one of the previous segments I mentioned, we did a virtual egg hunt. We also did a sidewalk chalk competition. Some other things that really felt like it was building that community and bringing the neighborhood together. Maybe a little different than we would when we're not social distancing, but the purpose is the same.
Very good. Any other?
Well, what I'll say, I'm not a neighborhood leader in the traditional fashion of my peers here. I'm Kia Jarman. I'm a board member for Neighbor to Neighbor. But what I am appreciative of is this type of conversation where we're able to share ideas and intellectual creativity, because I'm hearing things that I can see each of these neighborhoods being able to do based on what someone else said. And so my encouragement is, and this may be even something, Valerie and Jim, that we think about on the leadership side of Neighbor to Neighbor, is even thinking about mentoring, cross-neighbor mentor opportunities. How do we pair you with someone else so that you really do peer-to-peer mentoring with each other? So it's not necessarily a mentor-mentee situation. It's really just two mentors in community with each other. Because these type of ideas, when you're in the middle of a crisis, it's the hardest time to plan for a crisis. You really should be implementing plans that you already have, which what I love is that many of you all were doing this work before. So this is an opportunity for us to be in community as even leaders with each other. So I really appreciate all the ideas, things I had not even thought of that you all are doing. I think is absolutely excellent for our community.
Thank you.
Jim Hawk from Neighbor to Neighbor. I just want to point out some of the things. There's a lot of things that neighborhood organizations are doing, but a couple that caught my attention that I thought were really good. I want to go back to Spencer's neighborhood, Rosebank. In watching neighborhood organizations respond to the tornado, immediately Rosebank began sending out emails to all of their neighbors, talking about where they can get help, some of the scams that might be going on. I mean, they just really had that stuff. I don't know whether they have a genius over there who had that stuff ready to go and got it out. And that regular communication, I think Jordan said in the previous session, the importance of getting accurate information out is so important.
Yeah.
Two other things that I thought were really interesting that I've seen people do. One is Caldwell Abbey Hall neighborhood did a reverse parade where they had people sit on their, they had people sitting on their, well, I guess it was a parade actually. They had people sitting on their front porch and people drove their cars around the neighborhood and they had decorated them. And so that was a really cool thing, just to give people another way to divert themselves from what was going on. And then finally, one neighborhood is practicing social distancing, but they're gathering Eastwood neighbors. Some of their neighbors gather in yards on I think it's Friday evening. And as people are walking by, they're all out there talking to each other, waving with drinks in hand. And they said that they've had a wonderful opportunity really to get to know people, because there are people out in our neighborhoods that we have never seen before. Because basically they either have odd working hours or they go home and they stay in their house. This is a wonderful time to get to know those people that we've never met before.
Yes.
Jim, you mentioned porches, and it made me realize I forgot actually one of the coolest things that we're doing in our neighborhood. So on Saturday nights, and it's someone who's involved in the neighborhood association who first organized it. We've helped promote it, but it really wasn't a neighborhood association thing. Saturday nights, we're doing something called Play from the Porch, because there's a lot of musicians and people are, singing, playing guitar. Some people have sound systems and are like DJing. And the idea is neighbors can walk around, stay socially distanced, and see some music that people are playing from their porches. And it really cheers people up, I think.
Porch parties.
Cool.
All right.
Yeah, that is so cool.
So I'm looking for the neighborhood that's sponsoring the Evening Howls, HOWLS. I saw that on NPR, but I really think that's a cool thing too.
Some of us are ready to howl, I think. This is Mike Hodge. I'm the organizing director at NOAA, Nashville Organized for Action and Hope. And I spent 17 years working for a Neighbor to Neighbor back when it was called Neighborhoods Resource Center. NOAA is not really a neighborhood organization, but I think there are some similarities.
Mm-hmm.
One of the ways that we're trying to respond is what many of you all have already mentioned, and that is to maintain some kind of connection with people, to let them know that we didn't just stop because of the COVID crisis. So we're having monthly meetings by Zoom. We're doing task force meetings by Zoom. We've even done a press conference about a particular issue that concerned us. I think this is also a chance, though, when many people might have a little more time on their hands, we could be doing more research on the issues that are already affecting our neighborhoods. Certainly things that are COVID related or tornado related, all that is definitely important. But what about the tax structure of the neighborhood? What about larger things that we haven't been thinking about? How about the way that we relate in general to the police department? Are those positive things? Are those negative things? We could be doing research both online and just having phone calls and Zoom meetings with officials. We just had an interesting meeting with somebody with the Council on Aging, trying to talk about the existing senior homeowner tax assistance programs. Nashville's facing a property tax increase.
Yeah.
If we can get our senior homeowners that are low income on the tax freeze program, their taxes will stay the same. But we have to have information about that. We have to plan, how do we get that publicity out? So I just think this sort of downtime for many people could become a research time and a relationship building time.
Yeah.
Very true. Are there any other comments? This has been so enlightening. Thank you, panelists, for sharing your expertise and your knowledge. We would also like to thank the audience for joining in. Please make sure you check out the next installment in our Leading in Crisis series. Thank you.